Okay, thank you very much. I haven't done a public speaking for quite some time, so obviously nervous as heck. So downturn in the resource sector has been quite challenging for small companies, and we've spent quite a bit of time over the last couple of years consolidating projects. So our corporate structure is not too bad. With the chart down below, we can see that we've had a sudden dramatic increase in our share price, and that's because our company's decided to focus on Cobalt, where we got our first kick in around April, and then we announced a JV with Novo Resources for Conglomerate-hosted gold in July. My background is I'm a geologist, and our chairman, David Linegas, is a mining engineer. So our JV with Novo Resources is specifically for conglomerate-hosted gold and paleoplacer gold deposits within about 82% of Artemis's tenements. Novo has to spend about $2 million to earn 50% in our tenure in the West Pilbara, and for this they also gave us 4 million of their shares, which is valued at about $18 million today. We retain one key project, which is we've renamed Mount Oscarwitz, which was previously an iron ore project. And we also have the Radio Hill processing plant, which is 25 kilometres south of Karratha. And the processing plant really is the key to getting value out of any assets that are in the area. So our tenement holding is about 1,500 square kilometres, and all our tenements are between Karratha and Roebourne, stretching down past Money about another 40 kilometres. Our main projects that we're focusing on that surround the Egypt Radio Hill plant, which was built in 1986 as a flotation plant, but which is fully permitted. And the key is that within 40 kilometre radius we have a number of assets that we can pull in with potential resources if the economics work. So our key focus at the moment is Purdy's Reward, which is conglomerate-hosted gold, Mount Oscarwitz, which is conglomerate-hosted gold, and Carlo Castle, which is cobalt, gold and copper. So the Radio Hill processing plant has a capacity of about 425,000 tonnes per annum. We have a report that says that effectively somewhere between $5 and $6 million we can refurbish the plant and have it fully operational. The largest cost with that is the rewiring of the plant. It would take about 6 months, and it's the only plant in the area. There are no other plants within about 400 or 500 kilometres. So conglomerate gold, and really what does it mean? It's a new buzzword among junior resource companies in the West Pilbara that are trying to look at new ways of looking at, I suppose, old rocks. These rocks are somewhere between 2.6 billion and 3.1 billion years old. The gold was deposited, as we say, in a conglomerate. The typical shape of these is watermelon seed, and these are typical of the Witwatersrand style gold deposit in South Africa. And the reason you get a bit of a buzz about the Witwatersrand style gold mineralisation is that about 40% of all gold ever produced on the earth came from the Wits. So effectively 1 billion ounces, they've mined 600 million ounces, there's about 400 million ounces still in resource, and they're mining down to a depth of 3 kilometres. So it's globally significant style of mineralisation, and this is about 35 kilometres south of Karratha and laterally quite extensive. So this is a fresh sample that was taken from surface, and about 2 kilometres to the northeast of this there is Purdy's Reward. So Purdy's Reward is more oxidised. This is taken from surface, where the photo on the left there is about 15 ounces of gold. And the typical shape of the nuggets are what is referred to as watermelon seed. And these style of nuggets have been retrieved from around the West Pilbara, around the Karratha area for decades. And there are notes back in DMP records as back at about 1909 that there are watermelon seed nuggets. But nobody ever connected the dots. Nobody worked out what this actually meant. And nobody ever explored for it. Everybody in Western Australia is used to greenstone belts. And as soon as you get sediments, everybody walks the opposite direction. I've always argued, I said, if I had a bus full of geologists and I drove towards the Fortescue Group, and this deposit's at the base of the Fortescue Group, I'd end up getting there and there'd be nobody on the bus. I would have hopped off at every quartz vein, every greenstone belt, all the way along. So it's very unusual. I mean, this Purdy's reward was found middle of last year, and it's certainly created a bit of excitement in Artemis. The Mount Oskovitz project, which is just south of Roebourne, we have a unit which is about 75 metres thick in the centre. It's on a fairly large licence. The licence, as I said before, was a focus for iron ore. The current strike is east-west, is about 14 kilometres. We've submitted programs of work to DMIRS for ground disturbing activities, and previous work got some pretty reasonable gold assays from rock chip samples of conglomerates. And the middle one there, which is the 75 metre, is Churnside, which got 10.93 grams per tonne. So this project was with the JV. They were focusing on magnetite, very fine grind size. I don't think it was ever going to turn into anything, but they then looked at it, and there's a shear zone that's very close to this, and so most people thought that the gold was associated with a shear zone, that it was a hydrothermal or epithermal or different style of mineralisation that was associated with a shear zone. But nobody ever looked at it as a deposition, which the conglomerate is, and that the gold would come in with the process of a conglomerate. Our other key project that we're focusing on is Cobalt, and this again is very close to Roebourne. It's about 10 kilometres southwest of Roebourne. We've identified about a 3.5 kilometre trend at the moment by reprocessing old data. The electromagnetic anomalies that we've got with new cobalt targets tie in with some new drilling that we've completed this year. We're going to look at doing further drilling. We've submitted a program of works. We still need to do a heritage survey, but we've returned assays over individual metres up to about 6.5% cobalt, which makes it incredibly high grade and very comparable to the Democratic Republic of Congo. So our best intercepts to date from drilling around the Quad Est deposit are 6 metres at 1.9% cobalt, 3.4 gold, 1.4% copper, and again another 6.8 at 1.8 cobalt, 13.9 grams per tonne gold. So very, very good results. The Carlo South area has a resource. It was drilled between 1999 and 2000. The focus was gold and copper. It wasn't until I was looking at some Amtech metallurgical reports that I thought it was a bit unusual that it was very high in arsenic. When I looked at it, I found that Amtech did a report which said that the sulphide was cobaltite. And so I did further investigation and looked at the assays and found that there was a reasonable number of assays that had cobalt in, but cobalt hadn't been consistently assayed for. And the focus purely was for gold at the time. So we are going to go out there, do a significant amount of drilling. The Radio Hill plant is 35 kilometres away from this. So it's a project that we think, and with cobalt being, the price of cobalt being extraordinarily high at the moment, we think that we can get some reasonable value out of this project. So what are our Karratha assets? Well, we've got the Purdy's Reward Conglomerate, Mount Oscarvit's Conglomerate, Silica Hills Gold, which is more a conventional quartz vein stockwork project, Carlo Castle, where we have the initial or inferred resource, but our focus is really cobalt and gold and copper. We have resources at Wiriana. We have Money, largest platinum group element resource in Australia. Radio Hill nickel copper deposit, where we've got low-grade nickel and the processing plant is there. West Wandoo and Wandoo, which are copper zinc VMS style mineralisation. So our main focus at the moment is to focus on the gold. We have the Radio Hill plant, which is fully permitted. All that's required is for a letter to be sent to the Mines Department for us to get a approval with a quarry permit for any deposit that we find, and we could quickly be in production. So the objective: expand Conglomerate Gold, advance our other gold projects like Silica Hills, rapidly advance Carlo Castle, monetise resources or oxides at Wandoo, look at an economic study on Money, and we will have continued active news flow. So what's changed from last year? In the last 9 months, we've taken the company from about a market cap of 3 million to now currently around 75 million. We've got new management with proven development and operational experience, acquisition of our central processing plant from Fox Resources, focus on Conglomerate Gold with our Novo, which are a TSX listed company, focus on Mount Oscarvit's, and focus on Cobalt at Carlo Castle.